Keeping up with our motto, let learning be a joy and teaching a pleasure, here we are with a remote teaching and learning process to bridge the gap. Happy learning, students! Here's your teacher, INACIA de SOUZA from Thakur Vidya Mandir, High School and Junior College of Standard 7 with a new lesson in English entitled The King's Choice Part 1. The King's Choice Part 1. There was once a lion who was the king of the forest. He was big and strong and very fierce. All the other animals in the forest called him king. They brought him gifts from every corner of the forest. But the more the lion had, the more he wanted. A king must have a coat, he said to himself one day. He called a fox to his side. You are known to be a wise and a clever creature, fox, said the lion. I want you to be my adviser. Thank you, your majesty, said the fox, bowing low. The lion next called a leopard to his side. You are known to be a watchful and swift of foot, leopard. I want you to be my bodyguard. Thank you, your majesty, said the leopard, bowing low. Now, here we have a lion, and as you all know, the lion is the king of the forest. And why is he the king of the forest? Because he's big, strong, and very fierce. And therefore, all the animals are frightened of the king, and they also honor him a lot. And therefore, they get gifts for him. But in spite of all the respect and honor that he had, he was never satisfied, and he always wanted more. And his next desire was to have a coat. Now, in a court, you should have some courtiers. And so he called a fox. Why? Because the fox was wise and clever, and therefore the king wanted him to be his adviser. The fox was very happy, and therefore, after that, it was the leopard's turn to become the bodyguard of the king. Why? Because the leopard is very watchful and swift of foot. That means he is very alert, and he is also very quick. So therefore, both these advisors were very happy to be a part of the king's court. The lion then called a vulture to his side. You are a bird, vulture, and can fly high. You are to be my messenger. Thank you, your majesty, said the vulture, bowing low. The fox, the vulture, and the leopard took an oath of loyalty to the king. The king promised to give them food and protection. For some time, all went well in the court of the Lion King. The three courtiers never opposed the king. His wishes were law. Whenever he rode, they stood in awe. Whenever he took a walk, they followed him. When the Lion King went hunting, they found the animals for him to kill. And after he had his meal, he left the remains for them. So they always had enough to eat. One day, the vulture came back from a flight. Here we notice that the lion had chosen the vulture because he could fly high, and therefore he was chosen to be the messenger for the lion. And as we all know that when we have a position, we need to take an oath. An oath is a pledge. And why do we need to take this pledge? To say that we are going to be faithful, we are going to be loyal in whatever we do. And at this point of time, let us think of whom we need to be loyal to. Yes, we need to be loyal to our country because we belong to Mother India. We need to be loyal to our school. Why? Because she is the temple of learning. And we also need to be loyal to our parents because they have given us birth and they take care of us. In the same way, all the three advisors were very loyal to their king because he gave them food and shelter. And for some time, everything went off very well. They always agreed to whatever the king said. And whenever he was full of vigor and roared at the top of his voice, they all looked at him in awe. Awe here means wonder. Wherever he went, they followed him. When he went hunting, they found the animals for him to kill so that after he had his meal, they would eat whatever was left over. What does this tell us? That we should never waste any food. Food is precious. Our farmers take a lot of trouble to grow food grains for us, and therefore we should value every grain. So they always had enough to eat, and that will be even our state if we do not waste any food. Everyone will have enough to eat. Now one day the vulture came back from a flight, and let us see what he discovered. "Your Majesty, have you ever eaten a camel?" he asked. "It is very tasty. I ate it once in the desert." The lion had never seen a camel, but he liked the idea of trying camel's meat. "But where can we get a camel?" he asked. "There is a desert some miles away," said the vulture. "I was flying over it when I saw a lone camel not far away. It looked big and fat." The lion looked at his other advisors. They were wise and experienced. He wanted their opinion. Now, the fox and the leopard did not know the desert, but they did not want the vulture to seem wiser than them. So they said, since it was the vulture's idea, he should lead the way. Early next morning, the lion and his court started off on the camel hunt. They reached the edge of the desert easily, but after they left the shelter of the forest, the day became very hot. The sun shone down with fire-hot rays. Students, have you ever eaten a camel? I'm sure none of us have. But the vulture had eaten camel meat, and he knew that it was very tasty, and therefore he wanted the lion to also do the same. But the lion wondered, where on earth could we get a camel? And the solution was that if they went to the desert some miles away, that is some distance away, they would be able to get a camel that was living alone. Lone means all by itself. It looked big and fat, and the lion was now taken up by the idea and wanted to know what his advisors had to say on this matter, since he counted on them for their advice, since they were wise and experienced. But unfortunately in this matter, neither the fox nor the leopard knew what a camel looked like, leave alone what camel meat tasted like. So They passed the buck on to the vulture and said if it was the vulture's idea, it would be better for the vulture to lead the way, and therefore early the next morning the lion and his courtiers went into the desert to search for the camel. But as you know, the desert is very hot. So let's see what happens next. High up in the cooler air, the vulture flew. Hurry along, he called. The camel is not far off. But the lion could not hurry any more. The hot sand had burned his paws. He could go no further. Stop, he shouted to the others. Let us go back to the forest. I do not care to try camel meat. The Lion King's advisors were frightened. The forest was far behind them, and they did not know how to get the lion back home. The leopard wanted to run away. The vulture wanted to watch and wait and eat the lion later on. But the clever fox thought of a plan. Off into the desert he ran, saying, I will bring some help. After running for some time, the fox found the camel. The camel was indeed surprised to see him. Hurry up, friend camel, said the fox. Our king wants you at once. Here we see that the vulture was flying in the cool air, high up in the cooler air. That means it was cold up, but down it was very hot, and therefore the lion was not able to move any further since his paws were burnt, and therefore he decided to put an end to his hunt and return back to the forest. And he gave up his idea of eating camel's meat. But his advisors were very scared. Why? Because the forest was way back and many miles away. How were they to carry the lion back home? Therefore, the leopard decided to run away. On the other hand, the vulture was waiting for the lion to die of starvation so that he could eat him. But the fox could see through their game, and therefore he thought of a plan and said, let me go into the desert and get some help. Now, what help did he want exactly? He wanted to find the camel so that once they found the camel, it would be easier for the lion to return home. And was he lucky? Yes, he did find the camel very quickly and told the camel that their king wanted to meet him immediately. Now, it's time for us to say goodbye for today, and I hope you have learnt this lesson well enough for today. And till we meet again, this is your teacher, INACIA, signing off, wishing you a happy day, a safe day, a blessed day, and a wonderful day.